This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Thursday, August 17th, 2023, and we're so glad you could join us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be visiting with United States Senator Chuck Grassley as he stops by the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network tent. We will also have a check of the weather, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Curt, what did we see take place in the grains today?
Well, steady firm, some short covering due to some oversold technical signals. So that gave the market a little bit of support. Positive weekly export sales report, and also too kind of seeing a little warmer, drier weather next week. Whether that's good or bad, that's going to vary from area to area. So just a few things to give the market a little reason to hold in there for the most part. This morning on the weekly export sales report, sold 9 million bushels of old corn, 28 million bushels of new corn. Bean-wise, 3 million old beans and 52 million bushels of new beans. And that's kind of the upper end of the trade expectations. Of course, the big numbers came in Chinese buying and unknown destination. Wheat sales was 13 million, and that was kind of anticipated. So not too bad. Did not see anything on the daily scale. But these sales are welcome. Good news, because we'd like to see these purchases take place now so they can ship them out the first part of this fall into winter here and kind of get to where they want to be. The other thing, too, is crop tours taking place. A lot of elevators, analytical firms. Of course, next week we'll have Chip and his crew out taking a big swath through the Midwest. Ag Resource, their advisory firm, what they've noticed, though, is in the beans, particularly these Group 2 beans, they just don't have the nodes on them. They're seeing 15 to 17 nodes versus, 20, 22 nodes. It's mainly the Group 2s. Group 3s are fine. We'll see if the tour next week kind of echoes that type of concern or not. Locally and through here, it just depends where you're at, but for the most part, Central Illinois is fairly good shape at probably average yields. There's some spots better, and there's spots, a little bit on the weak side. News-wise, one thing got to keep an eye on is this world events. There's some talk today that maybe Russia has achieved its military goals or objective again. So that's always on the back burner here. And something can really pop up overnight and move the market quite a bit on some light volume. Technically, charts are kind of forming a wedge or a sideways pattern in the beans. They're trying to get something going to the upside here. These November beans need to move above this 1330 area and stay above there. Maybe it's some Chinese sales or some warm, dry weather or something fundamentally here to get those to go up there and stay. If not, a breakout to the downside could be in store too. So maybe here by next week, we'll pop out one way or the other. Corn-wise, we went below this 481 low here we saw last month, took some sell stops out. Now we're trying to recover here. And if we can get back above 481, maybe we can see some momentum indicators turn up here and give the market a little bit more buying interest. Corn on the weekly scale, we're down about 1.5 cents. So it wouldn't take much to close higher in the week. And that would create a weekly price reversal. So maybe we've got some support here at this 470 area. Beans are up 22 cents for the week. But that wheat market, man, it's sloppy. It's down 38 cents for the week. That wheat's down near that June low, and wheat's just really struggling through here. So Friday will be a big day on the technical charts to see how the market finishes out.
And Curt, switching over to the other side of the markets, what took place on the livestock side?
We'll have some news tomorrow. Cattle and feed report. They're looking at cattle and feed 98.4%, placements 94.5% is the average trade guess. Marketing is about 48% is the average guess, so quite a bit below a year ago. A year ago in the placements, the average guess was about 98. It came in at 102. So we're kind of subject to maybe just a little surprise. The big question is, whether they're on grass or in the feed lots. So we'll get a number on that to go with on that report. Otherwise, the weekly export sales report on beef, 15 million tons. South Korea took 4.6, China 3.2, Japan 2.7. And of course, the hog exports were strong, 28.7, and Mexico took 9.7, Japan 4.8, and China 3.5. So world exports is fairly strong there. Fundamentally, kind of watching Tyson in through here. They've reported to be moving things around on their plants, closing some plants down. Supposedly these are older poultry plants and doing away with them. But there's talk that China is selling their Chinese poultry division there, higher world poultry numbers. So that could be a news item to move forward here. Then, of course, on the beef packer side of the equation, beef margins are real tight. In fact, they're negative. But you got to remember, those packers made a ton of money for the last 2 or 3 years. Technically, October cattle is kind of testing this 178 support level. Hogs, this 77 area is kind of key support. Cattle's $3 lower for the week. Hogs are about $2 lower for the week. So technically, we're kind of struggling through here. So Friday is going to be a big day as far as seeing where the market finishes. And big thing, of course, next week will be the Pro Farmer Crop Tour.
Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net, our guest here today. Curt, what's the best way for our viewers to get in touch for more marketing information?
Well, the simplest thing to do is go to agmarket.net, click on Intel. That's where we have a lot of research news that our team puts together, and they get some crop updates and fundamentally and technically both. Or else give us a call here in Central Illinois at 1-800-779-1515.
Make sure you're utilizing all of those resources from agmarket.net. Curt, thank you so much for the time. Have a great day.
You bet. Take care.
And that was Curt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Let's turn our attention now to the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. September corn up 3.5 at 473 even. New crop December corn up 5 1/4 at 485 3/4. September soybeans up 2 even at 1336 3/4. New crop November soybeans up 6.5 at 1330 even. October soybean meal down $1.90 at 384.60. October soybean oil up $1.09 at 65.50. Chicago wheat down 7 3/4 at 615 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 2 3/4 at 803 1/2. Kansas City hard red wheat down 11 even at 741 1/2. On the Merc, October live cattle down 95 cents at 178.32. September feeder cattle down $1.87 at 247.12. October lean hogs up 97 cents at 79.15. August pork cutout down 28 cents at 110.72. Class 3 milk down 7 cents at 17.27. And that's been a check of the Ag Market Recap here on Ag Matters PM. It's time now to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association, and the Soy Checkoff. And when we come back, I will be joined by United States Senator Chuck Grassley at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network tent at the Iowa State Fair. This is AMPM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. In today's episode, I am going to be visiting with Chuck Grassley, United States Senator, as he stops by our tent at the Iowa State Fair. Mark Magnuson for the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, United States Senator Chuck Grassley, our guest here today. Great to see you, sir, at the Iowa State Fair.
Every year since 1979, I have not missed the state fair, at least one day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a year.
That is quite the run, sir. And before we get into the fair, I want to hit on some of the hard-hitting things that you've been talking a lot about recently. And I know you started this week. We listened to your weekly ag conference call, and you were very optimistic about the Farm Bill being done on time by the end of the year. Could you expand on that, about what's giving you that optimism right now?
I'm optimistic because the chairman of the committee, Debbie Stabenow of Michigan, she said it would be done by the end of the year, because I asked her, are we going to have a 1-year extension like we sometimes do, because we're going to make sure there's a Farm Bill next year, even if we don't get a 5-year Farm Bill. The second thing that gives me optimism is because Senator Schumer put this out as one of 10 things that he wants to get done before Christmas.
So I guess good signals coming from everybody that's involved in the leadership right now for the Farm Bill is kind of where you're at.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Democrats set the agenda for the Senate, and because they're in the majority, and that's what they've told me.
And something else, as we switch topics a little bit, that you've been talking a lot about recently, foreign ownership of farmland here in the United States. And I guess, Senator, why that's important to you, that it's an important topic of discussion right now.
Well, for instance, when you have China, Iran, Russia, and North Korea so anti-American, and they seem to be ganging up as people, and then they're buying farmland, we don't think it's in the national security of the interest of the United States to have that happen. And so if I get a chance to vote for such a bill, as I just described to you, I would vote for it.
And then, Senator, as well, I know you've also been very much involved with the cattle price discovery and transparency bill that you're a part of. Where is that at right now, and what's the outlook for that going forward?
A little bit of history. Last year it got out of Agriculture Committee on a voice vote, which means it's a very popular bill. I think another way to say it's a very popular bill is because 12 Republicans and 10 Democrats are co-sponsoring it. It's led by Fisher, me, and Tester to get something done to help Midwestern cattle feeders, because the 4 big meat packers have about 85% of the daily kill, and about 80% of that daily kill is taken up by the contract feedlots out of Texas and Kansas. So there's not a lot of room on a daily kill for people in the Midwest that want to negotiate a price as opposed to contracting ahead of time. And we think it's unfair. So this legislation that I've described to you would reserve some of that space for people that want to price it daily as opposed to contracting. And this legislation would give them a market and give them the right to deliver their cattle within 14 days. Sometimes it takes a month to get your cattle delivered now.
And Senator, that is something that you've said, that when you're back in the state of Iowa and you're doing your 99 county tour, you hear about that a lot from producers. Is that still something that cattle producers are coming up to you and wanting to speak with you about quite frequently?
Just yesterday in south central Iowa, that was an example of a farmer bringing that to my attention.
Okay. So now, of course, we get to switch a little bit to more of the fun stuff. You're at the Iowa State Fair. You mentioned you've had quite the run of coming to consecutive fairs. What are you looking forward to this year? What's on the agenda for this year at the fair?
Well, same thing that's been on the agenda since 1979. The buttered cow, the biggest bull, the biggest boar, the biggest ram, pouring tea at the pork tent, things of that nature. And then just walk around generally. And for me, being a senator for the people of Iowa, listening to people if they want to talk to me about any issues they may want to bring up.
Well, I've got good news for you, Senator. I actually got to talk with Sasquatch, the big boar, yesterday. Well, more his owners than him, but I can get you an introduction. So you've got that going for you as well. And then as we wrap things up, I kind of think I know where you're going to go with this because I've heard your answer before, but what is your favorite fair food at the Iowa State Fair?
pork chop on a stick.
I knew he was going to go with that, and I'm right there with him. Already had one yesterday, Senator. So,
wonderful.
Yeah, good choice there. And thank you very much for joining us here on the Iowa Ag Radio Network.
We're glad to be with you, and thank you for your voice for American agriculture and for the family farmer.
Thanks so much, and have a great fair.
You bet. Thank you.
And that was United States Senator Chuck Grassley. Let's turn our attention now to the Ag Weather Outlook. As you can see from the National Weather Service, a little bit of a quiet weather pattern currently in the state of Iowa. For today, mostly sunny with highs expected 75 to 80. This evening, mostly clear. Things will cool off a bit as lows will dip to the 52 to 56 range. On Friday, mostly sunny skies once again, a little bit warmer than Thursday with highs expected 81 to 84 around the state. And now zooming into our affiliate weather map for Friday. Cherokee, mostly sunny and breezy, high around 83. Shenandoah, sunny with a high around 81. Des Moines, sunny and 84. Albia, sunny with a high of around 82. Waterloo, sunny with a high of 84. Clinton, mostly sunny skies and a high around 81. For a more detailed forecast in your area, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that brings us to the end of this Ag Weather Outlook. That also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also, you can find all of our video content on our YouTube channel. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell as well. That will let you know whenever we have any new video content available. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcast, which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the Iowa State Fairgrounds, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.